Nobody likes debt. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to have the debt that's going to be over their heads. I'm not someone, I will be very upfront, I'm not somebody that's going to sell you something. And I do sell because I'm not going to sell you something you don't need. I don't ever want anybody to come back to me and say, hey, why'd you let me do this? But I want them to come back and say, hey, thank you for walking me through this process and growing. So that's my job. It's awesome.
Show me the money, baby. On today's episode, Courtney and I sit down with Melanie Boies, your business consultant and personal banker. If you are in need of money, if you've ever considered what the process looks like, what the banks are looking for, the options you have as an agency owner, this episode is for you. It's all about getting your hands on money to help your business grow. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver. And today on the Buzz, we have a very special guest, Melanie Boies, business consultant and personal banker with Farmers Insurance Federal Credit Union. We're going to be talking about money today. Show me that money, baby. So, Melanie, welcome to the Insurance Buzz.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to speaking with both of you.
Absolutely. So I am extremely excited about this episode today. And before I get into our story and why I'm excited about this episode and talk to you about how agents can get their hands on money, I just have one question for you just to start off. Can you help insurance agents outside of just farmers insurance agents?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So I wanted to ask that question right off the get-go to make sure that if you are listening today and you need your hands on some money, you might want to just tune in because she can more than likely help you even though you're not a farmer's insurance agent. So
I did not plan props according to this because I should have had our money gun and just be shooting money this whole episode. Melanie, I am so excited because it's really rare that we get to have a conversation with somebody that we actually have met in person. And we have met you multiple times. I think we first met, was it a year and a half ago? A year ago?
A year ago at my Vanderbilt meeting. Yep.
Yes. So I am so excited to dive into this conversation. Do you want to start or you want me to go?
Well, and some of you guys know our story, but it's somebody like Melanie that I wish we would have known. When did we start the agency? Back in 2014. So I wish I'd have known someone like Melanie back in 2013, because if you're in a situation like Courtney and I were, we are going into a scratch opportunity, and the carrier we worked with, we didn't own our book of business. And so every single person, also we were 26 and 28, so 20, 25, 27, depending on what point in time of the year. So young people, we have good credit, but not a lot of established credit. We have $5,000 to our name. We're going into a book of business that we don't own, and we have no customers, so we have no guaranteed income. And
the most we've ever made as a couple in the 3 years that we've been together has been
$50,000.
Yep, as a combined
total,
household
yeah.
income.
So every bank we went to was like, absolutely not. You don't own your book of business, number one. So the likelihood that we would ever give you a loan is pretty unlikely. And even when you start making money. So long story short, if you're in a similar situation, or maybe you're a tenured rep, because there's been a lot of times throughout our career that, man, if we would have just had a personal banker or somebody to rely on for quick cash, that'd have been easier than figuring out how to scramble, what we're going to do, things of that nature. So long story short, I'm pumped about this conversation. I'm pumped to learn more about what this process looks like.
I am too, because I think when I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking back to how I felt when we were getting ready to start agency. And I think there was a point of, I was raised to be a very independent person, and I can figure it out on my own. And so for me, I've always chose the harder path of like, almost like my pride would get in the way of like, no, I can figure this out on my own. Like, I'll just work harder. And it wound up grinding us to the bone to do it. And so I want to have this conversation because money is such a tool. And to your point, Michael, there's so many times in our career, not just at the beginning where we think, man, if I could infuse capital right here, this would completely change my situation. Not just my situation in my career, but the stress that I'm feeling at home as the backfire of that. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. I'll let you start.
Melanie, I first just want to hear a little bit about what it is exactly that you do, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I am a business banker, personal banker, whatever you want to call me. I will be that person for you, whether it's personal or business. I've been doing this for about 9 years, and it's probably the most amazing thing that I've ever done because I get to watch success start from the very, very beginning and grow throughout agencies and families. Because obviously, your agencies affect your family in a huge way. To be able to help in the very beginning and help that person get the capital they need, grow their agency, maybe buy a home down the road, all of those things. I want to be able to be that go-to person for agents, for them to say, hey, Mel, what do I do next? I need staff. I need a new computer. My water heater blew. I want to buy my own building. I don't want to pay somebody's off anymore. So those are the things that I think excite me the most, is just to be able to see people and the success that they are going to have. Nobody likes debt. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to have the debt that's going to be over their heads. I'm not someone, I will be very upfront, I'm not somebody that's going to sell you something. And I do sell because I'm not going to sell you something you don't need. I don't ever want anybody to come back to me and say, hey, why did you let me do this? But I want them to come back and say, hey, thank you for walking me through this process and growing. So that's my job. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, we know quite a few agents that use you, and they rave about you. So we were pumped when you reached out. So just out of curiosity, you just kind of mentioned a few things. So on the business side of things, most ideal candidates are looking to either get a loan to maybe purchase a book of business, so new acquisition of customers, potentially try to get a loan to increase marketing spend, to increase volume of business, get a loan to maybe go buy a building. Maybe they need some capital to be able to invest in team. Is that on the business side of things? Are those your four most common things that agents are looking for to get money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that really is the most common. Those are the things that help an agent grow in a way that they would never expect. Buying an agency can be scary, but you have income right away, right? So that's why there's a difference between starting from scratch and purchasing an agency that's already established that maybe needs a lot of work in cross-selling. Yes, that's a thing, but you at least have income right away. So that's the big difference between that. Bringing on staff is so vital for an agency. To try to do it on your own, you just burn out so quickly. And when I do my meetings, it's like, hey, listen, if you don't like talking about life, hire somebody that likes talking about life. Do those things that you love, kiss the babies, shake the hands, whatever you need to do, but hire somebody that is going to complement your office. I guess that's probably the better way to say it. That they're doing the things that you really don't enjoy.
Without a doubt. The easiest way to grow a great business is with great people. And the faster that an owner can understand that, and especially with the pressures that, quite frankly, across the board, the insurance agency opportunity is changing across the board with every carrier. And those agents that are putting up big numbers, performing, that's what carriers are expecting. That is the minimum expectation, is when you come on board, you have a team with you, you are performance production machines. And if you're not going to do that, agency opportunity is probably not for you today. Just to be super transparent with like the direction the industry and carriers are headed, and contracts and pay and all that good stuff. So getting your hands on money is really important. And that's why I love that you're on today, because you have to have the ability to invest back into your business. And if you don't have the money, you got to go out and find somebody that can give you the money to invest in people, invest in marketing, and if it makes business sense, to go out and acquire new business as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a resource. So I think back to when we started and we had time, money, and skill. Those are the three resources that you're always looking at when you're running a business. And if you don't have money, then it comes back to time and skill. And that can wear you down. And not just that, when you're talking about growing a business through people, people also help you carry the load.
Yes.
It's not just the financial load, it's an emotional load of like, if you are doing this all by yourself, you're literally in a chamber, just an echo chamber of like, is this right? Am I making the right next move, or what should I do here? And it's like you have to have people around to give it a soul, to give it energy, to say, what do you think? Like, what would you do in this situation? I don't know. I love that we're having this conversation, and I love that, again, that we've met in person, because I've seen a lot of agents pull you to the side. So that's my next question. You get pulled to the side a lot, and there's a lot of like private conversations. What are they asking you when they're pulling you to the side?
Ah, there's so many. A lot of embarrassment. Like, when you think about pulling somebody to the side, that you don't want anybody else to hear. And everything that I talk to you is confidential with anybody. And I think that's so important as well. But when you've got somebody that is in a dire situation, it's hard to help them when they get to that point. I think that's where I really want to stress that when you're in a good situation, get the funding at that point. Get a line of credit. Do something that's going to help you for your future, because when you get someone to pulls you aside and says, "Man, I can't pay my employees," and one of my first questions is, "Do you have a line of credit?" And I've had agents do home equity line of credits to even help with their business, because everything intertwines. Because if you're stressed at work, you're stressed at home. And I think that's where those conversations come into play. And it's, I need help. I need help with this. Can I refinance my vehicle? Can I refinance my home? What can I do to better my situation so that I'm not getting paid? I'm paying my employees, but I don't have a paycheck. And I don't know how to do this. So it is, I mean, it pulls at my heartstrings, because honestly, I grew up with very little, and I know what it's like to struggle. And I think a lot of my meetings I actually talk that way. Like, I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to being a stay-at-home mom and being a single mom with 4 kids, to go, I don't know where my food's going to come. And those are the conversations that are hard for me to help them, but it's also one of the most rewarding things to be able to say, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at, can you refinance a vehicle that you paid off? Whatever you need, let's see if we can get it. Business loans are a little bit difficult, because if you don't have a 680 FICO score, they're very difficult to get. So that is really important. Something I stress as well. Credit scores. What is your credit score? Why is your credit score low? What's causing that to drop? Let's see what we can do. And I just love helping people out of that hole that they're in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, you just unpacked a lot there.
I'm sorry, I did.
No.
Don't apologize.
This is really
perfect.
No, this is good. But you just said a tip that I don't want to just overlook, and I just want to make sure I understood this correctly. So the biggest tip you would give to anyone right now is, if you're in a good financial situation and you had the ability to either call you, or maybe you already have a banker, and go ahead and go through the loan approval process, whether it's even just a line of credit, you would recommend doing that, because you never know when things can change. And since you're already approved, you can always get your hands back on that money since you went through the approval process.
So, yes. Most of the time when people are doing great, they don't think about
Yep.
their income fluctuating. A seasoned agent is going to go, oh yes, I do understand that, because one month can be 10,000 difference than the next month, right? So then all of a sudden, that's when I get the phone call saying, Mel, I need money right now. I don't have money for my staff. I have to pay my staff. So when you do that, when you're in a good place, a line of credit doesn't cost you anything. It just sits there until you need it. It literally sits there until you go, oh, I need $10. And you pull the $10 out, you pay it back, you get to use that all over again. That is the beauty of that. Again, whether that's a home equity line of credit or if it's a business line of credit or a personal line of credit. I mean, I think of the agents that start off and maybe they can apply for a personal loan. Even $10,000 personal loan can help them through a very hard month. And I think that they can, you don't want to commingle, I get that. But if you can't apply for a business loan because you don't have the income, but you have somebody maybe that's substantial income, a spouse or someone that can be a co-borrower, that's going to help that situation as well. But that is to get back to the point, get something in place before that happens. We don't know where the economy is going to go. We don't know. There's so many things in your life, your health, family, all of those things that can affect your business. And if you're not able to focus on it maybe for a month or two, all of a sudden your policies start going down or your income goes down. All of those things are affected. And I say, be prepared for it. This is a way of doing that, is getting that line of credit and being able to rely on something so important to get you through those little hard times that you have.
That's great. Go ahead.
So I want to dive into the line of credit. So
Okay.
what does that process look like and what does it truly affect? Because you said it costs you nothing. So let's dive into what does that process look like and what happens as a result of
In the
that?
process, is it going to be different if it's a business line of credit versus a personal line of credit? So we can talk about both processes.
Pretty similar.
Okay.
Very, very similar. So it is applying for the loan. It's getting the documents. I make sure that I have all the documents for you. You know, hey, how much do you need, right? That's the first beginning of it. And then, are you a member? Everybody gets to be a member of the credit union, which is fantastic. So I help them get that set up as well. When you're doing a personal loan, it's a little bit simpler is the word I want to use because it's not attached to a business. A lot of, and I'll speak of farmers because that's what I know the most. If their name so their name has to follow the name on their appointment agreement. So if they are John Doe on that first line, the loan has to go under John Doe. If they are Doe LLC, that's a whole different ballgame because then it can go under that business name. So that's the difference there. Tax returns, income, your 1099 reports, we need those. If you have a co-borrower, we're going to need the most recent pay stub of that job that they're in. We understand 1099s. We've been dealing with those for many, many, many years. So if you're a 1099 agent and that's where you're showing your income, we're going to use that to get you qualified. So again, I start the process. I get all the documents. I make sure it's all in a nice little packet for the loan officer. So when it gets to the loan officer, they're able to go, wow, okay, we have everything we need. And then they can just go through their underwriting process. They get in touch with that person and off we go.
Okay. So this is really good. So like, obviously Allstate agents are a lot like farmers agents where they own their book of business. So that process is going to be very similar for that. For like a State Farm agent that doesn't own the book of business, you're going to use their 1099 income that's generated off of that business to give them a loan.
Correct.
Okay.
Because we know that your tax returns, that you write off everything, which you should. You're running a business. So your tax returns are not going to show your true income. Yes, we look at the cost of the operational costs and things like that. We take those into an account when we're doing the loan. So if somebody has an operational cost and they want $100,000, well, you may not get $100,000. Maybe you'll get 50, maybe you'll get 25. We'll come back and give you another number that we can approve you for if we can't give you the full amount that you want. So that's what the loan officers are great about, is saying, okay, we can't do this, but we can do this. And if we can't do it all together, we also talk about, okay, this, and this needs to happen before you can get approved.
Yep.
So come back to us in 3 months when you have income that you can show. And like I said, put a spouse on there, put somebody that's willing to be a co-borrower, and we can use their income as well. We look at debt to income. We look at credit scores. We look at past history payment. If you have charge-offs, if you have collections, if you have any late payments, get those up to date as quickly as possible. Because one, that's going to make your credit score increase, but also that shows you can handle the payments. And that's what you're wanting to do, is to show a loan officer that's, I can handle the payment. So give me the loan so I can move and grow.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about credit score, because you touched on it a little bit. So when we go through this process, am I dinged? Is my credit score dinged?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a hard goal. Yep.
Okay. So when somebody comes to you and they don't have a 680 FICO score, what is your kind of next step on, okay, this is what I would work towards building? And what advice would you give somebody who doesn't have that yet?
So a lot of the, so if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, this is what I want, one of my first questions is, what is your credit score? Because I don't want to overload them with so much information, and then they're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I'm like, no, let's talk about this first. And I can have that candid conversation with them because I am their personal banker. I am not going to judge them whatsoever. Some people are really embarrassed and ashamed, and some circumstances are out of their control. So when they say, hey, my credit score is like 550, okay, why? What's going on with it? Do you know why? Because that's the first step. You need to know where your score is. You need to know what is making it go down. And I talk about credit cards. Well, I max it out every month and I pay it off. Don't do that. All that does is show the credit bureau that you can't handle credit. By the way, I hate our credit system, but we are all subject to it. We have no choice in the matter. But it's such a hard thing to do, to keep credit cards. They say 50%, I say 30%. Don't go over 30% of the limit, because as soon as you do, those payments, number one, you're paying interest, and you don't want to do that. But that is going to start making those credit cards go down. If you use a help, I can't remember the names of them. So any kind of a credit place that it says they're going to help you get a settlement, don't do it. They are out there for your money, and that is the only reason they're out there. They are not there to help you. They're there to take your money. And so many people get into worse situations because of that. And then it still shows on your credit score that it was charged off. And that's not what you want on your score. So I do talk about that. I talk about, if they by chance are close, let's see. I mean, if you're 5 points away from 680, let's see what we can do. Let's go ahead and apply for it. Let's see what a loan officer says, and maybe we can get an exception. Not always. Those circumstances are they have to be right. They have to have credit that's going in the right direction instead of going down. There's got to be things like that in the income, but it's kind of fun for me to help someone get their credit score to where they can come back and say, hey, I did it. And it's like, I need to apply for this loan now. It usually takes about 30 days for anything on your credit score to show up and affect that score. So I always think, get in front of people ahead of time so that I could actually help them with their scores and get them to where they need to be.
Let's take a minute and just talk about life insurance. Are you struggling with how to navigate the conversation, the types of questions to ask to engage your customer, your prospect, to where they actually want to talk to you about life insurance? They're actually telling you their problems so you can take your sales pants off, put your conversation pants on, and just solve problems, which is what you want to do as a sales professional. If you struggle with that, if you wish you had more confidence in the conversation, you want to add to your arsenal, you want to increase your skill set, I'm going to be holding a life insurance webinar soon. Make sure that you click the link below in the show notes and register. It is free and it is going to be extremely valuable as always. So again, if you are interested in improving your life insurance game, getting more comfortable with what you do every single day, understanding that, hey, if I just change this one little thing, I can achieve more success. Make sure you click the link below, show up. I look forward to seeing you there. All fantastic information, so thank you. Just a quick question, because I know a lot of people, even though they're in the role of sales or agency owner or whatever, like they hate to apply for things and get turned down. And so they're afraid of
Rejection.
rejection. So my question for you just right now, anybody listening to this, I'm going to ask you this both ways. So let's start off with the who gets told no right away. Like, what are some common, like 2, 3, 4 things? If this is in your situation, this is going to be a hard no, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't contact me and let's create a plan on how to be able to get you approved in the future. So right now, if you're like, look, you are going to get rejected for sure. If you have one of these on your profile, who is that?
That's the collections that is multiple late payments. We understand if there's a one late payment once in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
if you have 90 days, 30 days, 60-day late payments, you have collections, you have charge offs. All that does is show that you cannot handle your
Okay.
payments. And it's called an instant decline. Like if someone applies for it and they have a low score or their debt to income is 110%, it's called an instant decline. And it doesn't even get underwritten at that point because of the reason of those things on their history.
Okay. So instant declines. Okay. Now let's flip it. Who is like an ideal customer in this situation that if you have these 3 or 4 things on in your history, you're probably going to get instantly approved?
Yes. Anything over 720 is a really good FICO score, but you have an 800 FICO score, you've got a low debt to income, maybe 40% debt to income. You don't have a ton of debt out there. You're able to handle of it. That's instant approvals. They go through like that. They just literally, they're just a good candidate because they have good history. They have a good score.
I'm laughing. I've been laughing this whole episode because all I keep thinking, Melanie, is I had someone at a conference say that you should pick your man based on 2 things, and they should be the same thing. Their testosterone score and their credit score should both be over 800. This whole episode, that's all I keep thinking. It's like that should be on dating profiles. That's like the one thing that you need
Yes,
to know.
yes, yes. Yep.
It's like,
You
oh
can't
my
handle
gosh,
your
these are the
debt.
things.
Don't come near me. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, these are the things that nobody talks about though. And it's like, why do we put these things in the corner of like, these are so important to how we do our lives, like how things continue on. So,
Amen,
sorry,
sister.
I've
That
been
is
holding that
100%.
this whole time. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. All I can think about is like, I wanted over 800. That's what we're shooting for. So,
Yep.
okay, that's good to know.
Yep. That is awesome.
720
Basically,
works.
720 plus, no debt or minimal debt, good
Minimal.
payment history, and that's usually a shoe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The only time it's not is, I've had people that have 750, but their debt to income is 110, 120,
Yep.
even 80%. You're looking at that going, can you handle more debt? How can you handle more debt?
Yep.
Because again, I don't want to put somebody in a worse situation than what they are. And all of a sudden they're delinquent. And that's a sad state of affairs. I do not want that for them.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I do. Because I think there's a big part of this conversation that I think comes before this. And it's how do you determine how much money you need in your situation? Like, do you help somebody sit down and go, this is actually what I would recommend in this situation? Because I think there's almost like this pre-step before you say, hey, I need money, to go, how much money do I need? And then what's the plan with this money? So do you have those conversations?
I have some of those conversations. I can't tell you what you need. That's one thing. I will not tell you what you need. Besides that, you need a line of credit. But I will not tell you how much you need. If you can handle a $30,000 line of credit, great. We have, and I'll give you an example, we have a protege line of credit. So proteges train with other agents and they have to meet certain criteria before they graduate. Well, they now can apply for a protege line of credit. And I always talk to them like, okay, listen, you're going to have 2 years of availability for this line of credit. And after the 2 years, they have 5 years to pay it off. I mean, pay that down as much as you possibly can before that 2 year hits, because all of a sudden you're going to have a payment that you may not be able to handle. So that's my conversation I have with them. It's like, okay, what are you thinking you're needing? I mean, I can tell you that $25,000 is a pretty typical number for an agent to have. That's across the board, because it's enough for them to use it to pay somebody for a couple of months if they need to, but it's also not enough where they can not ever pay it back. So I
Yeah.
think that's the thing.
Okay, this is great. So protege, you're the agent's coming to you and they're like, "Hey, I want to hire some proteges. Can I get a loan for $25,000? Here's my plan on what we're going to do. That's what you're talking about." So same thing with like a State Farm agent. So they run an aspirant program, which is very similar to the protege. So they could come to you very similar and potentially qualify for the same thing, where it's like, "Hey, I'd like to
Possibly.
bring on this aspirant. This is the plan," because they get a big bonus when they place somebody just like farmers agents, to where it does work very similar. So that's cool.
So
Go ahead.
we have a business loan that's up to $100,000 that it's not secured. It's just a business loan that you can use it for whatever you need. You can apply for this and bring on staff, bring on all the things. We're working on doing a business line of credit. We're bringing that back. It's not available yet, but it's coming. So when you're looking at maybe the idea of bringing an aspirant, or bringing on a protege, that is a financial burden on your agency. That affects your bottom line. So your cash flow, go ahead and pay a 210, 250 payment, opposed to trying to fork out 2,500 a month for that person that is in your office. And then hopefully by the time that they're trained, they are making that payment for you, basically, because they are bringing in enough to cover what you're doing to bring them on. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
I would agree with that. So, is there any products? So, we talked a lot on the business side of things. Is there any products or anything you guys help agents with on the personal side of things? Because that's where I feel like no matter how much money you make as a business owner, banks
Yes.
are always like, "What the hell? You're a giant risk." Oh my gosh. At least
So
that's
many
at least
times.
that's
Yeah,
my
you own your
experience.
business. No, we can't help you. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
um, so my question is do you guys do anything to help agents on the personal side of things, like maybe going out and buying a house or whatever it is?
Yes. So that's the beauty of being open since 1936, right? We have basically designed everything that we have around agents, knowing the ins and outs of what it takes to have a successful agency, helping those agents, all of the things. Well, there's the personal side of it that is just as important as that business growing. And a home equity loan, a mortgage, those are huge for agents to try to get. And then all of a sudden say no because you don't show any income. So we have a preferred agent mortgage that is specific for agents. We use your 1099s to get you approved. We still ask for tax returns. We still ask for the business tax returns. We still want to see what you're doing, but we ask for your 1099s. We want to see where your income is and where it's coming. And that's the true picture of what you are bringing in your agency, is that 1099 report. So that's what we ask for. We do want 2 years of that in order for them to get into the preferred agent mortgage, but we also finance up to 100%.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Do you have to be an insurance agent to qualify for that?
No, sir. No, sir, because we have conventional loans as well.
Oh.
Conventional loans that are for
Could you be a
everyone.
podcast host? Would that be something that you would consider?
Um, um, so we have FHA, we have conventional, we have the preferred agent mortgage, we have jumbo mortgages as well. So yes, we do 100% financing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Vehicles are as low as so four. Wait, hang on, because I can't remember off that 4.99%,
Okay.
and that's a lower interest rate as well. And we don't have any prepayment penalties. That's another huge thing, that if you want to pay this off early, go for it. If you got a great month and you don't want to have that payment anymore, do it. Get it paid off. Home equity loans, again, those are something that we lend 100% of the equity in the home. It's lower if they have a rental property, a lot of people diversify their income, and I think a lot of agents kind of have their feelers out there in different things to get different incomes. And that's one thing that for rental properties, you can get a home equity loan or a line of credit on a rental property. Secondary home, vacation homes, we do them all. So
Okay.
those are really good things for people to utilize us for. We've got great products that they can help save them money as well. Personal business, I mean, we do the toys. You want a snowmobile, you want a motorcycle, you want to put a pool in the backyard, that's your home equity, boat, all of it. We do it all. Yeah.
Okay. This is great.
So good. I loved this conversation because this is exactly like we're in this right now too, of like building the wealth machine, and money is always okay, where is it coming from? How are we making it work for us? What are we investing in? We're always having this conversation. So I love bringing people like you on to really kind of open the door of let's talk about money as a resource and a tool and how we can use it to compound and work when we're not working. And so I will always have these conversations. Melanie, I appreciate you being here so much. Thanks for letting me crack my joke. I was holding on to it for a very long time.
That was awesome.
It's good. It's true.
It's
Guys, get your
It's
stuff
true.
together,
It's so
man.
true.
What you doing out there? Get it together. 800 plus credit scores. You know the testosterone is important too. So, Melanie, this has been great. If somebody wanted to, because right now you guys are very, like, you want to help more people. You're very aggressive in your growth plans this year. You want to help more agents from different companies. And so you guys are situated right now to really offer opportunities that may not have been available in the past, and some major incentives and things like that. So if somebody did want to reach out to you, talk to you, schedule an appointment with you, of course, we'll include some of this in our show notes as well on how to do this. But just real fast, like how or what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can email me, they can text me, they can call me, they can hit me over the head, whatever they want to do to get my attention.
Gotcha.
I don't have specific hours that I work. Sometimes it's hard for agents to talk during the day. Call me at night. If I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV with my husband, I'll answer the phone. I mean, that's just what I do. So, yeah, well, however you want to get in touch with me, whatever works best.
What's your email? What's your email?
M, my maiden name, Boies, B like Bravo, O like Oscar, I like India, E like Echo, S like Sierra, at figfcu.org.
Perfect. This will be in the show notes as well. So just go down, click on the show notes right now. Melanie, this has been fantastic for all of those of you who tuned in today. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did. We always love talking about money. We talk about money at least every week in our house. And so this is a really important aspect of your business, of your future. And I'm just going to reiterate the tip that Melanie gave, because this is one of my biggest takeaways from the episode today, is if you're in a good situation right now, go out and at least get approval. Contact Melanie right now. Get approval for the line of credit. That doesn't mean you have to use it, but if things go bad or things turn for the worst, you at least have money that you can access, and you don't have to panic because you know you already are approved for that. So as always, time and attention are by far our most important assets. We appreciate you tuning in today on The Buzz with us. Melanie, great job, and thank you again.